spinning. Okay, Jessica Simpson. Yeah, I'm not gonna make you guys listen to me like read or anything. So thank you for being here and enjoy this butt.
We love you.
Krista, do you feel like Jake Whitlock?
Krista, what do you have to say about your latest controversy? I have no apologies.
Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. As you can see, I was lucky enough to attend, or rather kind of sneak into, the book launch for Close Relationships with Strangers by Krista Diamond. I didn't tell her I'm making this video, but if you do see this, Krista, hello. I enjoyed your book, and thank you for not kicking me out when I did show up. But I would say, given the main character of your book and how he behaves, you might have some sympathy for me. And also, I've just always wanted to go into one of the retro houses that they have here in Las Vegas. It's kind of like a bucket list thing for me. I think for a lot of them, you can like go on an architectural tour and kind of sign up for it, but I just never bothered to do that. And this was just way nicer and way more organic. But yeah, it was a great night. It was really exciting and the house was so cool. I had a lot of fun. Basically, you know, anybody who's anybody of the Las Vegas literature scene was there, so it was very cool. But yeah, so as far as the book goes, I did like it. Like, I don't know, like, how do I describe it? Like, it was very cool. I really like how she went about it. And it's so funny, I started this video saying like hello to her, so I want to be like, wow, your book was so good. But like, I didn't tell her I'm gonna make this. I'm not like sending this to her. But that's just the power of this novel and the way it discusses parasocial relationships. It's really turned me into a monster. But basically, in this story, the protagonist, he might not even classify as an anti-hero, but he begins as a wildlife photographer in Las Vegas, and then he eventually pursues the career of paparazzi. And the whole book is sort of about his downfall. And I do have here one of the special little bookmarks that she was handing out. This is pretty cool too. I feel like this is, you know, the sort of book marketing you can't go wrong with. Some matches. But yeah, here, as you can see, it says it's the feel bad read of the summer. And yeah, I think that's a pretty apt description. Like, I don't want to give away too much, but I like how she didn't pull any punches with the ending. It actually shocked me. It didn't resolve the way I thought it would. And beyond just this plot of this character traveling into the seedy underside of Los Angeles, there's just a lot of detailed descriptions of both cities. It's also kind of a narrative of Las Vegas and its relationship to Los Angeles, which anyone who lives in either place, especially someone who lives in Las Vegas, you know, you'll know the other city is kind of a shadow haunting you or something like that. Most people who are living in Las Vegas have moved here from California, or you travel between the two for vacations, no matter where you started. So there is a interesting relationship. I kind of say now that like Las Vegas has kind of a suburb of Los Angeles, or just of Southern California. It's basically getting there, especially if they ever build this like high-speed rail. I wish. The story, you know, really starts by just focusing on the life of the main character and his girlfriend or his partner as they're just kind of working. He works in a restaurant and she is sort of a burlesque performer. Yeah, and I really appreciate the sort of love or attention that is paid just into labor and what it is like to have a certain job. And also, I did kind of like, again, it's so weird because it's like a person I know in real life, but I watched an interview that she did where she was talking about Vegas and the hospitality industry. But yeah, most people work in the hospitality industry here. You know, it's a tourist destination. You know, maybe anyone who lives in a tourist destination can relate or would enjoy that aspect of this book. But she really just pays attention to the sort of like drudgery of labor, both the protagonist when he works in a restaurant, the sort of life he lives, his partner performing burlesque, you know, she has to get gigs, and also when he becomes a paparazzi, you know, of course that is a very sensational sort of career, but it's a job nonetheless, and she writes about it as one. So it's a more grounded kind of take on it, I would say. And there's also like the presence of gig work, like the characters have to, you know, deliver food and things like that. So it is very present of something that is part of most of our lives that, you know, many novels might overlook. So I actually did really appreciate that aspect. And, you know, even as I'm trying to record this, someone just walked by this window and they were on a phone call talking about how they work at some bar and it was not clean and the health department came in, and it sounds like he had a really rough day at work. So I mean, it's literally all around you. That was one aspect of the book that really stood out to me. I thought was interesting. And of course, I always find my way back to conspiracy theories. So there is a lot of like celebrity cults or, you know, weird rumors about what these rich famous people are doing behind closed doors. That's in this book, and I really like that. And I feel like I can't talk about it too much without like giving it away, but I just like how it does play with this desire to uncover, to know like, okay, what's the truth, who is this person really, what do they get up to, and the sort of speculation it leads to. And maybe it is true, maybe like, you know, certain things sometimes it is true and it's, or it just becomes mundane when it is exposed. So yeah, I like how it plays with that, and I enjoy anything that has a paranoid affect. So I did enjoy being in this character's head. And I would say, for if you're thinking of picking the book up, that might be the make or break. It seemed to be, I like googled like reviews and looked at what people were saying, and it does seem like it is the protagonist. He's kind of an unlikable guy, unless, I mean, his like, I don't know what to say about him. Like, you're probably, I don't know if you would even love him, but you might feel pity for him. But it seems like some people really hated him and just could not stand like having to follow things from his perspective, which is interesting. That kind of seems to be like the book talk discourse du jour of like people really having issues with first person narratives. If the character is doing something that you wouldn't morally agree with or something that you would do, it seems like there's a lot of discomfort around that these days. And I'm not even just talking about one book here, okay? I've heard people express this about multiple books, so this is not my opinion on any book that I haven't mentioned by name. But yeah, that is something that is worth thinking about in terms of how people read in 2026. So yeah, it seems like that was one thing that turned people off, is just not wanting to be in the perspective of this character, which I don't know. I like characters that are kind of rough around the edges. And maybe I'll use that point to transition here to kind of rant about one of my own parasocial interests. But something that I also thought was interesting in reading this book is that the main character is a wildlife photographer turned paparazzi. I thought that was really interesting because a person like this kind of exists. This character is a real person. Not exactly, of course, but Noah Dillon, who is in the band The Help and is a photographer, that's kind of the arc of his career. So I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting art meets life sort of thing, that he started out taking photographs of horses and his work kind of blew up. The right people saw it on the internet, and then the next thing you know, he's in LA like following behind Kylie Jenner and photographing celebrities. And he's not a paparazzi, but he does play with the imagery in his work. So I feel like I kind of had a visual world that I was already thinking of as I was reading this. So it was really easy for me to get into. Just for that alone, I was already kind of like eager to read it, or it was a bit easier for me to get into. Yeah, and he's also, he is not from Las Vegas, but he's from Colorado, so he's kind of from a similar like southwestern small town. Not that Vegas is a small town. Well, actually, it kind of is. Once anyone travels outside of here, you come back and you're like, oh, this is like barely a city. The city is like one street, and the rest of it is suburbs. And it's also just extremely small compared to other cities as far as population goes. I would assume you can look up the numbers and fact check me, but that's kind of how it seems. You're always running into someone from high school or, an old friend or maybe an ex. That's kind of what it's actually like to live here. So it is that experience again of, traveling into the city, which is also a classic sort of fictional trope story arc. But of course, this is a very unique take on that. So it's interesting for that reason as well. Yeah, and it's a small detail, but I did really like this one line where she talks about how Las Vegas is so flat. Like, of course, it's surrounded by mountains, but everyone lives in a valley. The actual city area itself is pretty flat. But when you travel to Los Angeles, you just see all these like rolling hills, and it's like, what secrets are they hiding in these like mansions hidden and dotted along the hills? There's like more dense and secretive terrain. So I did really like that language. And I like how she talked about media as well, because again, without giving out away too much, the protagonist has a parasocial obsession with this sort of old Hollywood like actor type guy, and he's trying to find him and take photos of him, and photos of this guy leak, and then he's kind of destroying his own personal relationships where he only is able to access those people also by just stalking their Instagram story. So a line kind of blurs between, having a parasocial relationship with like a celebrity versus your relationship with people that you actually know or once knew. Like, they're all flesh and blood human beings, of course. One, we think the relationship is more tangible, but as people drift apart, or even if they don't drift apart, it can kind of be more mediated. Like, honestly, one of the reasons I've been having fun doing my YouTube is that I have a lot of friends who live like all over the world or have moved away, and they kind of just catch up with me kind of by watching my videos or reading my Substack. Of course, we talk about it after. They're not just stalking me, I'm not just stalking them. We discuss it, but it's just like an easier way for me to actually show the people in my life who are at a distance like what my world kind of looks like, or to share my thoughts with them as well. So yeah, I think Krista was also kind of talking about this in the interview I watched, where of course parasocial relationships are usually very toxic and there's a lot of horrible examples of them, but it's not always bad. And I think it's not always, I don't know, maybe that breaks the limit of what is parasocial, but today all of our relationships are mediated. Unless your bestie is Ted Kaczynski, like, good for you. Like, then that's your problem. Like, you're on a totally different plane than the rest of us. But yeah, so I mean, the novel just plays with a lot of things like this, which I thought was pretty interesting and made it more engaging. And now at this point, I'm kind of just like rehashing this one video I saw of her, and again, it's like this weird mediation, but it's kind of funny. She is saying like, oh, the celebrities used to get spotted by like paparazzi people, and the book also kind of is meant to reflect on the decline of paparazzi culture, like for better or worse. They don't make a lot of money anymore. I mean, especially not now, but even before they were really struggling, and now as well. And I think she did shadow or interview a lot of paparazzo. I'm sorry, I don't know the plural or singular. I should have looked it up before this video, but whatever. So yeah, again, it's a reflection of like their actual kind of lived experience. And now she kind of joked that celebrities have like seized the means of production because they can just have more control over their own image, as far as like having a social media page. Like, you don't have to go hunt them down in the streets. If you want to see what they're doing on a random Tuesday, sometimes annoyingly so, they will tell you or you will find out because there's some sort of like, you know, social media or news headline about it. So I know that's like a common topic of discourse these days, like surveillance culture, privacy, the mediation of images. It's like obviously just very relevant. As she said, it touches on this kind of decline of the old Hollywood, like more distant, superhuman sort of star that used to exist to today a more accessible sort of Instagram influencer style, more relatable celebrity. And then it's also kind of like, yeah, it's like every 5 to 10 years, it seems like there's this sort of push and pull between wanting celebrities to be more authentic or wanting them to be more glamorous and remote. Like there's just always some trend forecaster saying like, oh, authenticity is in, we want messy Instagram feeds, or like now everyone has to be bookish and an intellectual. And now, you know, they're talking about the death of the influencer, and now it's all about micro influencers. I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to give a timeline and go back even further, but those are like the ones that come to mind. I don't know how it's been changing. You know, there's been like Instagram Face and Facetune. Yeah, so basically it's just like celebrity culture. I would say it's like constantly adapting, but it seems to, because it is so heavily mediated, I don't know how it could have not been mediated. I would say it constantly does adapt and respond to technology, because I guess it's all the world of the hyperreal, it's the world of the simulacra. So I guess those sorts of images are always dependent on mediation. So it is natural that it would respond to changes and advancements in technology. And I'd assume you'd see a new trend anytime we do get some new piece of tech. These are just some kind of rambling thoughts. If any of this sort of stuff interests you, either one of these cities or celebrity culture or paparazzi, or you just want to read about a dude just totally destroying his life, the feel bad read of the summer, then I would recommend this one. Of course, I would just recommend it anyways because this is a hometown win, so you should buy her book. Give her some cash, come on. This is not a paid sponsor. Although I did have some cake at the party and I did help myself to the open bar. I was so happy that I was able to go to this event, and I enjoyed the book. So thank you for watching my little review. Remember that you can subscribe to my Substack if you want to hear more of my nonsense. But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a great day.